Hey, good morning, good morning, guys. Welcome to another Money Space. My name is Kalu Aja. Usually, we like to do spaces in the evening when you're relaxed, but we want to do something real quick this morning just to talk about an issue that's come up over the weekend. Like I saw it over the weekend, and I'm just trying to ask questions of the government, right? And the issue has to do with the concessioning of the Akano EBM International Airport in Enugu State. Just background, this is the only international airport in the southeast of Nigeria. Everyone had an airport. The southeast just got an international airport. I believe it was 2012. So much fanfare. But the airport has been on and off. They close the runway, open the runway, renovate, don't renovate. Literally now the airport is closed right now, a day to the Easter or a day before the Easter it was closed to fix the runway. But the issue really that we're talking about is that the Nigerian government has set aside a plan to concession the four major international airports in Nigeria. That's Lagos, Kano, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and I believe, no, not Port Harcourt, Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Enugu. Now, if you look at the tenure and the package that they've proposed, what we do know that is public because it has been very, very opaque. Abuja, Lagos, about 20 years. Kano, I believe, is 30 years. But when you come to Enugu, you have 80 years. That's 80 years concessioning, right? That's what we're told that whoever is going to get the airport is going to have that airport for 80 years with an option for 20 years renewal. So it's a 100-year lease, right? But you get it for initial period of 80 years. I did the research. I've never seen a lease in anywhere in the world since the Earth started that lasts for 80 years. Never. There's no PPP, there's no lease, there's nothing that lasts for 80 years. None. And there are many reasons why it's not that long. How do you price it? How do you price that 80 years out? Nigeria's longest bond is 30 years. So how do you price 80 years, And there's lots of questions the more you look at this concession arrangement. It's hidden, first of all. You can't get the actual documentation online. All I've got was people they're sending me that, oh, this is a photocopy or this is you can't get the actual document. But it's the same thing that people are quoting on because happened is the unions went on strike or trying to go on strike. They now had to show the unions their agreement, and it's based on what they show the unions that we're talking about. But the Ministry of Aviation has not released these documents to the public as is required by law, so that ordinary citizens can take a look at it, read it, understand what's going on. There are many questions to be asked here. Again, for background, the only functional, or should we say, the only free trade zone in the entire southeast is in the airport. It's in Enugu International Airport. That's the only free trade zone the Southeast has. There's one in Imo State, but I don't know if it's working. It was supposed to be built by some Chinese guys. I don't know if it's working. Many states have got six free trade zones. Some have two. But the entire region, the entire Southeast region, has just got the one free trade zone at the Enugu International Airport. So is this part of the deal? If I get the airport for 100 years, do I also get the free trade zone? But the questions are a lot. And it's not going to be a long space. Just want to lay out just my own thoughts, right? Number one, who is concessioning this airport? Who is the concessory? Who is the person that the government of Nigeria is handing over this airport to? We hear it is called Aero Alliance Consortium. That's the name that we know. I did a search on the Corporate Affairs Commission. It doesn't exist. Perhaps they have a business name that they're using that is not Aero Alliance Consortium. Maybe it's doing business as a different name, but that name is registered in the CAC. And of course, the law in Nigeria says that for you to get such a project, it's a federal government project for and contract, you have to register with CAC. So that name is registered in CAC. Now, we're also now quoting the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission's own guidelines. So any PPP, any large-scale infrastructure project has got to follow these guidelines set out by the ICRC. And of course, number one, of course, is there has to be a competitive bidding process, which means for you to give this airport out, you have to publish the offer. Lots of folks would bid. there has to be a competitive process in the papers and all that. Those same way GSM licenses were sold. So I'm not sure if that was done in this case. If that was done, I didn't hear about it, but I'm not sure if that was done in this case. Number two, the technical expertise of the guys. You just can't wake up and say you want to go buy an airport, right? Because you have $1 billion in the bank. It doesn't work that way. Airports are very technical. So what's your pedigree to run an airport? How do you run cargo? How do you run landing rates? Who are you partnering with, literally, to allow you to run this airport? This, again, is the largest, or the only, not even largest, the only international airport in the southeast of Nigeria. It's a natural monopoly, which means once you get this airport, even if you build 20 airports in the southeast, only the federal government can issue international status. So it has a natural monopoly, this airport. So what's your technical expertise that you want to be that you've had? Who is Aero Alliance? They could be new, but have established partners. So who are those partners that they're partner with? Of course, financial capacity. This is the key one. And again, we're quoting from the ICRC, the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. These are their own guidelines set up by law, by act in Nigeria, right? Act up to 2005. It says bidders, let me just quote this one for you guys. Bidders must provide evidence of financial capacity to undertake the concession, right? The amount quoted is a minimum net worth of 30 billion. This is about $72 million depending on exchange rate. So if you want to bid to get an airport in Nigeria, you have to show the capacity that you have 30 billion naira or 72 million naira based on the exchange rate that you want to use. So do these guys have this, or are they going to be given the airport, then they go get the money? It doesn't work that way, right? That's why we're having perhaps the issues we're having with the discos and gencos. Folks who are giving this stuff without technical capacity to run major power infrastructure. And today we are doing band A and no powers and all that. So it's the same thing we're running into with the airports because there's nothing to look at. There's no information. Then, of course, the last one is why 80-year tenure? Why 80-year tenure? If you add up the tenure for Lagos, Kano, and Abuja, it's not up to 80 years. So if you combine the Lagos tenure 20, the Abuja tenure 20, Kano 30, if you add it all up, it's not up to 80. So why only Enugu has an 80-year tenure? I could hazard a guess for you. If you buy a car and you want to pay that car back over 5 years, the car is $1 million, I want to pay that car back over 5 years. I mean, I'm going to pay 200,000 a year. But what if you buy the same car for $1 million and you want to pay the car back over 100 years? It's pittance. But you're going to keep making revenues, but you're going to pay back over 80 years. When you stretch out that repayment, you make more profit for yourself. But all those pale, really, all these questions pale when you compare to me what I think is the most egregious part of this whole agreement. That's the most egregious part, what we're going to come to now. Before I give you this egregious part, right? If you can Google Ajaokuta, the steel company, and also something called Sunrise Mambila deal. In those two cases, you will say Nigeria got into a deal with some folks that came to buy Ajaokuta. They came to Ajaokuta as alleged, it's just there stripping their assets and selling. They didn't invest any money in Ajaokuta. So Nigeria sued them. And when Nigeria sued them, no, Nigeria sued them and canceled the contract. They sued Nigeria. And just Nigeria had to pay $450 million to these guys because we couldn't do anything with Ajaokuta. It was locked up in litigation. So no new investor could come in. And that's why we had to pay 450 million just to allow those guys to release Ajaokuta so we could find new investors. And there's no new investor today. So that 450 million we paid has gone to the wind. Who do we pay to? Consultants that were brought by the Minister of Justice back then under Buhari. So 450 million went because we signed a bad contract. That's Ajaokuta. What of Sunrise and Mambila? Exactly the same thing. The Minister of Power then took a contract to the Federal Executive Council under Obasanjo and said he wants to give this contract to build Mambila power or dam, whatever, to this company. The president told him no. At a Federal Executive Council meeting, the president said no, do not give him the contract. You know what happened? The minister left the meeting and issued the contract. This was 6 months to him leaving office, or 6 weeks. issued the contract. So what's going on now? You cannot have a new investor building Mambila because those guys have sued Nigeria to court for breach of contract. They said the minister has the power to give a contract. So we're stuck. We're stuck in the same way we had the P&ID issue back then when P&ID said Nigeria cancelled the deal. And because Nigeria cancelled the deal, they sued Nigeria for how many? 10 billion. And I believe we were guilty, but the British guys just said, listen, Nigeria can't pay this. And they let us off the hook. So if you look at Ajaokuta, look at the Mambila, look at P&ID, you see a pattern where government officials go and sign crazy deals, knowing fully well that these deals are going to be struck away when someone else takes a lens and looks at the deal. But when you strike it away, you then open yourself to what we call a contingent liability. In this case of the Enugu International Airport, there's a clause there that is saying that if Nigeria cancels this contract, then Nigeria has got to pay these guys the concessionary damages. Yeah, that's fine. If Nigeria cancels the deal, you should pay damages. I get that. So what are the damages they are claiming? This is the way it gets interesting. Okay, any capital they bring in for this should be paid back to them. That's fair enough. If they bring in money or they go borrow money and all that, and the government cancels the deal, I agree. They should pay them back, all that. But look at what they are saying. They are saying that Nigeria would also pay them back the projected revenues that they would have made if they had run the airport. So understand what they're saying. Essentially, if they sign an 80-year contract with an option for 20 additional years, and Nigeria cancels that contract, then Nigeria is on the hook to pay them the expected revenues, the expected returns that they would have made for the 80 years. How can you sign that? Who gives the minister a power to put a contingent liability on Nigeria's head for 80 years? What part does he have to do that? What part is even the DMO? Who gives that power that you can sign something that says if Nigeria, whether we do it legally or we do it illegally, we are now on the hook for 80 years expected? Doesn't make any sense. Has anyone seen that or heard that kind of clause anywhere in the contract? Your landlord says, if you leave my house, you will pay me the rent I would have made for the tenure of this whole house till forever and ever and ever. It doesn't make any sense. So we'll pay them outstanding loans, third party liabilities, equity investment. That's fine because they invested in Nigeria. Nigeria then didn't make their own side. That's fine. But projected returns, Nigeria will pay them projected returns for 80 years or 100 years. So what has happened is someone has inserted this clause, knowing fully well that this deal will not stand the test of scrutiny. If we scrutinize this deal, there are many ways to cancel it. So all they're looking for is a way now to, if it's cancelled, then they make money. If they get the deal, they make money. So it's no longer an investment. It's a guaranteed return to whoever gets this deal, which is why this is being hidden. Ask yourself, before this weekend, had you even heard Enugu was being concession? Talk less of knowing who was being concession to. It's been hidden. And this is the reason why it's been hidden. If Nigeria signs this deal, forget about the 80 years, those issues are bad. But the real thing is this projected return. We are essentially saying that we're on the hook for whatever they say is projected. If they say they projected $1 billion a year, so 80 billion, that's what we'll be on the hook for, plus 20 billion if they had gotten it for the 100 years. That's what we're basically signing off. The same happened to Ajaokuta, that happened to Mambila. P&ID will happen in Enugu International Airport, which leads many people to, because many people have sent me DMs and all that. Perhaps this is on purpose to sort of cripple that airport, to make it not to work. Because it's international airport, and good luck also not delivered it. So if you assign debt to it and no one can invest in it, then you've sort of less crippled it. What will you do? Will you go and get a new international airport? If it was easy, why haven't they given it to the Southeast since 1960? So it's not an issue to just sweep it on the carpet. And all I just want is simple answers. Who are they? Like, please listen to my questions. Who are they? What their capacity, both technical and financial? Why 80 years? And then what the heck is this um, issue of projected returns? Those are my questions. So, I mean, it's going to be a very short space. I'm taking 15 minutes. If you guys have a question, I don't know a lot, but I've received a lot on this since I started to bring it up. People have sent me lots of information on this. I can share what I've received, but really what I want is for you guys to go ask your whether it's your Congress guy, your House Assembly guy, your governor, you want to start to send this and ask questions, because I don't think it doesn't bother you if Nigeria or if the Southeast or if Enugu is on the hook for expected or projected returns, you are going to pay. You are the one going to pay. You know, it bothers you because once you have that debt, invariably, tomorrow somebody will say, "Oh, we're going to take your FAC and pay." It bothers you. It's your money. You shouldn't just take an airport and just sell it. We're hearing about Ponzi schemes. Explain to me how this is not a Ponzi scheme, where a government will sign a contract knowing fully well in that contract has a projected return clause that says if you cancel the contract, you will pay them what they who's going to project. Can we say it's going to be a dollar projection? Of course, they're going to be the ones to say the projected return, and we're going to be the ones to pay. That's my take, guys. Trudy, thanks for hopping in real quick. Trudy, what's on your mind? I don't know. There's a lot to speak about, but I don't all the stories. Let me get folks time to speak. And I see the DMs, but yeah, Trudy, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Carlo. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Carlo, from here. It's the greetings, everybody. You've said it all, to be honest. I think they're just after the soul of the region. This is just after the soul of the region. There's nothing else to say about it. Either way, they're going to cash out. It's alarming. I really don't want to, rehash all the things that you've said. But the thing is, what can we do from here? You've listed some of the things. Approach our congressmen, but we know that our congressmen are as good as useless, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, it's something that both houses would decide, and we know how the houses, go about things. Given the latest things, we institute a class action. We know the owners of the court, so the thing that is actually burning me here is, what do we do from here? What do we do as a citizen? We haven't got anything like a citizen ombudsman. So the only thing that is coming to my head is, and I'm thinking perhaps he's just the only person that can do something because of his antecedents in the private sector. At least we know those things because he worked in, a known private institution, which is the, Governor Alex Oti. So is there a way someone has got access to him so that we can ask these hard questions? Was he aware of this concession plan? What has he done? If he's not aware, is there anything that he can do to just galvanize all our concerns and complaints and lead the charge? Possibly even get, Peter Obi to be on it, to be honest. I know there's a lot on his shoulder. He might not even want to jump on it because of the political, but I mean, honestly, it's the heart of the region. If it doesn't really champion this, what else is going to champion? So for me, this is like them, like saying to us, we're going to own you guys for 80 years. How long have we got to stay here? So it's a fight that all of us need to be invested in. I really thank you for, holding a touch on this. But honestly, I'm. This is me praying you now to help us do everything that you can, gather all the information that you can, help us in terms of the next actions, the next steps to take, whatever it is. If it's us lending our voice on Twitter, a hashtag, whatever it is, class action, just keep directing us as you're doing, because we need someone to lead this cause. Otherwise it's just toast for everybody. I mean, they won't give you guys a seaport. They won't do a rail network. No power. States is just almost redundant in terms of the allocations going to them. So this is just them taking the only thing that would have actually meant something. Should the region come together to do something, at some time in the next couple of years. So they're actually coming for the soul of the region. They've seen, it's like they've read the permutations. They know something is happening in terms of how some of the governors are moving. So they know that the only thing tangible that they can actually latch on in terms of what's it called, a resource is that international airport. And I dare say it's because of the free trade zone. So, Carlo, you're spot on every side. But all I'm saying is, please just hold a touch on it as you have done and keep directing us in terms of next actions, next lines. And this is the time for us all to activate our networks, our contacts, and reach out to whomever, regardless of the fact that we know that some of them aren't going to do anything. But, there's no harm in trying. So I
Yeah,
really want to thank you. Yeah.
yeah. And again, you went somewhere I didn't want to go, right? So look at it this way. Haiti was the first black nation on earth to get independence, the first black nation of Haiti, and they got it through violent means. They overthrew their slave masters. What did France do? France simply put a bill on Haiti, and that bill, the billions back then in 1800 billions. Many people say that's why Haiti never recovered. So what somebody is doing is buying a contingent liability on Nigeria and any entity that would exist in Enugu. Hear what I said. You are buying a contingent liability on Nigeria and any entity that would exist in that place called Enugu. Because they are saying expected returns. They can say they expected 1 billion a day. And you will pay because that's what you signed. You signed for it. So let's go to how we can stop this. I hear you saying how. Let me tell you how you can stop this from the financial side, right? So again, freedom of information is a very, very important tool. Corruption hides in darkness. That's why we have freedom of information. When you put sunlight, the ants and the cockroaches run away. So you've got to do FOI. If you're a lawyer, file your FOI and get who is this guys, uncloak them. That's the one. But they really want to stop them. There's a clause in this agreement. I read the one they sent, the agreement they sent to me. It's clause 2211. It says that if the concessionary does not carry out the runway or terminal upgrade, then the grantor, which is the federal government, can terminate the contract and seize any assets, right? So essentially, if they sign and they don't do what they said they're going to do, either to do the runway or the terminal upgrade, then they would then lose the contract. So why do you think they are fixing Enugu runway? Because this is the
Exactly my thought,
yeah.
Carlo.
I'm
Exactly.
not
Because
so
that was so suspicious.
I'm not I'm not so they are fixing the runway in Enugu because the runway and the terminal upgrade are the things that would cancel this contract. So whoever is going to buy this is already going ahead to fix the runway. Because if you don't fix the runway, this will be cancelled. So what you need to do is this. If you make noise, when I mean noise, real serious noise, right? They need to go get foreign investors to come and join them. They can't run this airport themselves. No foreign investor will touch this if they know that there are issues with it, with this local issues, the people don't want them, it was done opaque, it's corrupt, there's been no consensus, there's been no hearings, no foreign investor will touch it. If they touch this in the US, it's easy. You can file a corrupt practice act in the US. They would whoever is coming from the US will not touch it. EU, I know the law they have there. But once you can focus on the fact that this whole process is fruit of a poisonous tree, they haven't done the bidding. They haven't carried people along till if there was a if there was a contract, we would have read the contract here today. There's no contract. This is the largest airport in the southeast, the only international airport in the southeast with a free trade zone. I believe it's the only airport in Nigeria with a free trade zone. And you want to now sell it under the cover of darkness to folks we don't know about, have no face, have no name. So we've got to ask questions. The more we put the spotlight on them, the harder it is for them to fulfill their clause 2211 that says that they have to do the runway and the terminal. And let me just give you a hint. The labor guys already started to agitate. That's why I think, in my view, they ran to go and fix the runway. The runway will have been bad, but they're trying to fix the runway to give whoever's going to buy this airport, landing room. Because now he doesn't have to fix the runway. The runway is already fixed for him by the government, who will then sell it to him for 80 years at a pittance. That's just my take, guys. So that's what you want to focus on. Focus on making sure that no one is able to touch this contract. No Nigerian bank, no Nigerian insurance company is able to touch this toxic, make it toxic. So no one can. It's easy to make it untoxic. I want PPP. I want investment to come to the southeast. I want FDI to go to Nigeria, but not like this. This is an insult to everyone in Nigeria. Not like this. How can you tell me to sign off that my children? How old am I? 80-year contract. Where if it fails in the 24th year, Nigeria will pay them for 80 years on unexpected profit. Doesn't make any sense. An insult to any of everyone's sensibilities. Whoever is doing this is taking the PISS. That's really it, honestly. DeepSeek, what's on your mind? Trudy, I appreciate you. Trudy, hang on there. Deep Sky. Hop right in here, sir.
Hi, Carlo.
Hi.
Yeah, good morning, sir, Carlo.
Hi, what's up?
Yeah, first and foremost, Carlo. Yeah, thanks very much for. I think you are the first person to actually organize a public forum to discuss this very issue from the Southeast, and I'm glad you are doing so because I myself I joined this space this morning to get a sense of what is happening. So I just have two questions. Number one, I think based on your last response to Chodi, it is very clear that the people who are behind this concession are maybe somehow anonymous. So we don't even know the people behind it. Because I wanted to ask the question about um, while I believe this project or this concession is being arranged by the federal government, do you think the state government, the Enugu state government, is involved in this concession? But like you said, we don't know the people behind this or whether the Enugu state government is part of the deal. Then, based on the other thing that you said about it is our responsibility to amplify this very thing now and say we are not going to be part of it because this is not a good deal, to be honest. And I think this is where we can take it up as a people to do more media conversation. I don't know how feasible it will be for maybe getting a time on channels, television, Arise TV, and the rest of them to have um, 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 political commentators or economic commentators talk about it, particularly you in person, because I believe you, based on the narration you put out this morning, it's very obvious that there's a lot of problem with this very concession. It is not a good deal for Ndi. It is not a good deal for Enugu State. Neither is it a good deal for Nigeria itself. So that's what I want to contribute this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, on the Indigo question, I'm surprised they're not jumping all over this. Maybe I don't know who is in the consortium, but Indigo State is the host state. Even this international airport, you're still going to drive into Indigo State land. They should be all over this. My own view is that this airport should be given to the Southeast Development Commission. They should take it on a 100-year lease, right? Sell it or create shares, warehouse those shares to all 95 local governments and 5 states in Nigeria. Just warehouse the shares and keep them there. Let everyone contribute. Let everyone invest in equity capital. Develop the airport. The exact same thing you are doing with these faceless folks. Give it to Southeast Development Commission. Let them go get the investors from anywhere in the world to come and invest in this. We have a Nigerian that owns Heathrow. If you go to him and say, "Wait, hey, come and partner or give us technical aspects," he will come. Even if it's to come and help, he will come. But when you cloud and you cloak this thing in the toxicity that is this, he was not going to come near this. Mr. Gulesi is not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole because he would see from afar that it's toxic. So you've already removed good guys that would want to come and invest from touching this. And it goes the same way if you are in the UK and you work for Rolls Royce, you're Nigerian and you believe that Rolls Royce can come and set up, you won't come here because it's toxic. So by trying to satisfy a very, very small clique, they are going to push away more investment. And that's what's going to happen. The same thing is happening to power. Where you have guys that have a power license for a whole region and haven't built one power station or power lines. No technical capacity, just call your girlfriend and give her license to run an international airport for 5 states. That's just what's going on here. Opaque, toxic, looks corrupt, right? So we've got to really, like you said, if you don't make the noise, and I'm not talking about noise. Noise is very, very polite noise. Like, I've listed for you the ICRC's legal status on how they vet airport concessions. This is the federal government law. I didn't write it, they wrote it. Why are they not following it? Their own law. Opiate. Mr. David, how you doing?
Yeah, sorry, Carlo. Just sorry, apologies for interjecting. So the thing you said earlier about the Southeast Development Commission, it reminds me that before this Akanibiam airport was made international, I think sometime in 2010, we had the Southeast Caucus of the Senate through Ike Ekweremadu. Then I think he was the deputy president, using the constituency allowance of the 15 Southeast senators to start the project of rehabilitating or building the runway, the first runway that made it become an international airport or something like that. And I believe that we need to continue on that trajectory. Hand it over to SEDC to continue this project, because this thing, this is that again, I don't understand. But just like you said, we need to also maybe, or more like the last line where you talk about this, communication, engagement, and the rest of them. We need to actually bring this to the public forum. We need to also, let me also use this opportunity to appeal to every vocal person in the Southeast to lend their voice to this very issue. If you are an influencer, start talking about it, start posing questions. And we need to also start reaching out to our senators and House of Rep members. They need to come in and tell us what they are doing. I'm going to try and escalate this thing today, because I don't think, uh, like you said, I'm not an economist. And hearing from you, majority of the time, I joined your space. I joined your space last night when we were talking about the Ponzi scheme and the rest of them. And for you to, start speaking about this, it means that this is really a very terrible deal, and we should not even allow it to hold for one single day. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And again, if the SEDC comes in, the Southeast Development Commission comes in, you can raise $20 million seed capital. How? You have 95 local governments. There's no local government in Nigeria that gets less than 150 million a month. So if you tell all the local governments in Nigeria to contribute $100,000, that's 9.5 million right there already. And you're warehousing the shares. So contribute a local government, each local government $100,000. Each state $2 million. You're going to get about 19 point something $1 million. That's a seed fund right there of $20 million that you can then go bring in a reputable airport manager and say, listen, we have a seed of 20 million. We have 5 states. We are going to give you zero taxes. Come in and develop this airport. And down the line, you do an IPO. You sell the shares to every Nigerian. This is how it is done. You do it that way, you're going to bring in more people to invest in this. What these guys are trying to do is they're trying to eat 100% of one. They are trying to corral this thing and it will end up being a bad deal. And when it's a bad deal, you want to get them out, they'll tell you, okay, we'll go, but you have to pay us so, so, and so. So it becomes another Jakuta. It becomes under Mambila. That's the plan. And that's why, if you notice, there is nothing official from the minister. Mr. Kayamo was a former freedom fighter. This is not published anywhere. You can't find this agreement published anywhere. It's hidden on purpose because they know it's a bad deal. If I would let them prove us wrong and publish this whole agreement, let's read it. Let him. Has he tweeted about this? If he was Wanda Gani, would he have allowed this to go on? So, and why the Southeast? Because it's strategic. The Southeast folks do not care. I don't care. That's the thing with the Southeast. If you try this in any region, people are going to, what are you talking about? There's going to be so much noise. But if you do it in the Southeast, they know it's on purpose. Oh, they'll just leave it. They don't care. It's federal. Let them go. No, guys. If this is a contingent liability, it means that you will pay. Either Nigeria will pay or whoever is going to be in control of Enugu State will pay. Hear what I'm saying? Either Nigeria will pay, or whoever is going to be in control of Enugu State will pay. And they don't have to come to Nigeria to get their money. You sell oil, your money is in JP Morgan. They will go to JP Morgan and take the money from there. A hedge fund in America will buy this case. That's what they had to, that's what they did in Argentina. They will buy this case. The PNID was bought by a hedge fund. Was it not? They will sell this deal to a US hedge fund. And those guys will go to a court in New York and say Nigeria is owing them and not to get the Nigeria's money in JP Morgan or our Nigerian house in New York. That's enough money for them to that's enough money for them. So don't think doesn't concern you. You are deep in it. Right. I think I had this bros who hasn't spoken. David, yeah, David, please go ahead, David.
All right, Mr. Kalu, good morning, sir.
How you doing?
Thank you for I'm good. Thank you for taking your time to explain this stuff. I actually want to ask a question. Is it possible for us to reproduce this in an expository documentary?
If you bring it to me, I want to talk, I will talk. If you want me to come and explain on a
Okay,
documentary, I will do it in Igbo or whatever, I'll do it.
I would like us to discuss
All
about
right,
it.
let's go offline and do
Probably, I
that.
don't know when would be convenient
Let's
for
do that
you
offline.
that.
Let's do that offline. Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
I can't send you a DM. They've not been able
I'll
to
send you a
respond my.
DM.
All right, that would be great.
All right,
Thank you very much.
perfect. Bros Ike, have you spoken? I don't know if it's Bros Ike or Deep Sky who hasn't spoken.
Okay, yeah, I think that's my turn.
Okay, go ahead, go for it.
All right, thank you, Carlos, for actually hosting the space. So what I think is that these people did this because they have a feeling that they can get away with it. I mean, if you're very familiar with Nigeria, and how they do these concessions and maybe all these deals, you know that this is not something new. If you read Okonjo Iweala's book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, she had something similar, and a naval chief brought it to her, and she was supposed to sign off on it. Actually, they took it to the president, and the president brought her in and said, "Madam, what do you think about this thing?" And the woman said, "This is scam. Don't sign it." And that was how the woman killed that deal. So if we get someone to mount pressure on the presidency and let the party in power actually understand that if they go ahead with this deal, they are going to actually face the consequences, when it comes time for election. They will back down because this is a very bad deal and everybody knows that. So we've started something, we can make enough noise, let people get on it, a lot of people jump on it. I was tagging a lot of those people they call the Hallelujah boys in Enugu praising the governor for whatever he's doing. I asked them, why don't you jump on this? This is actually very important. Since you love the state, jump on this. And they were giving me all kinds of excuses why they shouldn't be part of this. And it sounded funny. But you're all out praising the governor. Now, this is something that affects
I,
you and your
I don't
children.
understand
In
what you're
80
saying.
years, all
Someone
of us.
they said this is not their business. Is that what you said?
Yes, yes, they said this is not their business. Someone said, "Oh, it's even a good deal for Enugu." I'm like, what is going on? What are you people saying? In 80 years, we are all dead. And our children will have to bear the consequences.
Okay.
And you're saying it's none of your business.
Yeah, that's why they chose the
And
southeast. That's why they chose the southeast to do it.
exactly, that's why they can do it in the southeast.
You know,
And this, and if I understand, the airport was actually built by the Eastern Region government. It was built as an aerodrome and then upgraded to an airport. But because states can't actually run airports, they handed it over to the federal government to run. So it doesn't mean the federal government owns the airport.
it's owned by the federal government. All airports are owned by federal government in Nigeria. All
No,
airports.
they are run. You can build and then you hand over to them,
Yeah.
because you can't operate.
Right.
But you still own it. Like the Anambra Airport is owned by Anambra State, but they can't operate it. They can't run it. They will hand it over to the federal government to run, but they still own it.
I hear you.
You
I
know?
hear you. So again, I want
Yeah.
folks to focus, right? So in I do I manage money for rich people. In America, there's a way you can save money. It's called an intentionally defective trust. Intentionally
Okay.
defective. You can Google it. That trust basically says
Yep.
that their taxes are very, very complicated, but you create a contract and you make it defective ab initio so that it
Yep.
qualifies for you to save money for debt, but does not qualify for you to transfer money. I don't want to get too deep, but this Enugu contract deal, right, is created with the intention for you to fail. It is
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
it
Yeah.
is easier for an investor, quote unquote, to get this contract and then just delay and do a shoddy job and get the federal government to fire him. If they fire him, it
Yeah.
is easier for you to go and get money through a lawsuit than to invest in Enugu State. So it's set up the way this is set up. It's set up that listen, if I was advising whoever had this contract, you have a gold mine here. If you do a job, you get paid. If you don't do the job, you even get paid more. Which one would you do more? It's set up like that. So I'm surprised people are not seeing this. This is and they hid it in there. It's hidden. This nonsense clause that you say if you projected revenue. Who has ever heard of that before? That the vendor will say projected revenues. You are owing me 80 years projected revenues, and it's a 100-year contract. 80 is stated, and there's an option to go on for 20 years. 100-year contract. Why is in the southeast? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, I want someone to explain to me what is going on. Where in the laws of Nigeria is this stated? The laws are stated there. They have to have 30 billion. Do they have 30 billion? Let me get so I don't I were you done, sir? Were yours you all done?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I want to say. So we have to get our people, make as much noise as we can, and then also make it politically expensive for these people. If they go ahead with this, they are going to pay the price. Let it actually be a bad deal for them as
I
well,
mean, if you
politically.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you have information you want to share, send me a DM. If you know who's owned this stuff, send me a DM. I will publish it. Don't worry about it.
no problem.
It's not now. I'm talking to
No problem.
everybody. Send me a DM if you know anything about this. That you know who owns it, who is able. Send it to me. I will publish it. Of course, you're going to be. No one's going to mention your name. Send it to me. I will share it. Don't worry about that. Let's get Unsuka first son. Guys, it's a very, very short space. I'm sure in the next hour or so we'll be done. Suka's first one, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, thank you, Kanu. I'm so happy for this space. It was this last 2 days. I saw Kayoma on Charlotte TV. He was like shouting that the Enugu International Airport is. I saw that what he sees there is. So he didn't go down to explain of this concession plan. But I remember last regime, Sarik Dixon. Is it Sarik? Yeah, they stopped that airport. They stopped it for its renovation. I was like, I think they elevated it last time. Why is it now that they are trying to do concession again and trying to talk down on it? So this thing is not something that will end up on space, end up on talking. You are one of the influencers who love and who follow. So if there's a way we can translate this into either going to television, challenge space, and other one to speak. Even if going it offline, if you can host protests within the area so that people will know. There's no way we'll
That's
just
what
sit down and
that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what I heard about this yesterday, Saturday, and I knew there was a concession, but I didn't know it was this bad. I didn't know there was 80 years. I didn't know they were going to pay them projected revenues. I didn't know that. I heard about that on Sat. Someone sent it to me, and from Saturday till now, this is all I've been doing. Right. Also doing the research on this so I can get more information and pass them on. Like I said, if anybody wants to record anything, wants information, if you hit me up, I will send to you. I can't send you what they've sent to me because people are sending me pictures from their phone. I don't want to link anybody. But if you go online, you will see snippets of the agreement. What I'm looking at is when they shared it with the labor union, some of them took pictures with their phone. So I don't want to link back and say, okay, it's from this person. But it's online. You see a bit of it online. And there's this lady that has done some very, very good job on this. What's her name? I saw her article that she wrote. Very, very detailed work that she did. Ruth Okombu. She's done some great work on this as well. So you can also follow her and read what she's written. But my own is just to give information. I'm not I just give information. I can link it to ICRC. I've done the research there. I can share that research with you. I can tell you the airport's concessions term sheet, what they have to do. But the pathway is to file a Freedom of Information Act so that you open up this space and put sunlight in that region. That's number one. Number two is you've got to very critically ensure that these people are not able to get foreign partners. I don't mind them coming to me and saying, okay, we made a mistake. We're going to bring this thing down to about 30 years. We're going to open this thing up and bring in more partners. If they do that, I'll be the first to come and support them. But right now, what they have is toxic. This is a nuclear dump. This is nuclear waste that's on its dumping in Enugu. So if you say they're dumping nuclear waste in another local government area, it doesn't affect you. That guy's brother is going to come and marry your sister. That's how it works. They're taking nuclear waste and they are dumping it in Enugu in the name of airport concession. You got to be very, very careful. Again, I look at how they are planning. The agreement says that if you don't fix the runway, this agreement will be cancelled. What are they doing in Enugu today? They are fixing the runway a day before Easter. they ran to fix the runway. Maybe because they hear or they perceive that the labor guys are going to start to make noise. And that's one area they're going to be weak on. So these guys know what they are doing. I will not be surprised if at the very, very high levels in Nigeria are the guys that are planning this deal. It will not surprise me one bit because the minister is going along with this. And he's a quote unquote freedom fighter. But he's not fighting for any freedom, he's fighting for a pocket. So I will not be surprised at all if I hear that they are all in cahoots with this. So you got to shine sunlight on this. The more you put sunlight on it, no, if you notice at the press talking about it, has any newspaper or any TV guy taken this up? Are they also on the deal? Are they also on the take? You got to ask these questions. So when you see something like this and everywhere is silent, you know, the one I don't want to get tribal. I'm really struggling. But the one place you can do this thing is in the southeast because everybody will tell you, it's Omoibo. And I'm just being honest. It's the only place you can do this and get away with it. You can't try this in Kano. Who you gonna sell it to for 80 years? Who? But it's funny. But and you know I'm saying the truth. Ude then when you NFTs, you've got the floor. Guys, in about 15 minutes will be out. I don't take your time. I know you're driving to work. I just want to share information and we'll take it from there. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening, depending on your location. When I first saw Carlo talking about this uh, Enugu State International Airport, I was like, "Can you hold a space about this?" And then the next thing I saw, like, there was already a space. So I had to set up a reminder. The thing is, this is what has been happening. You know, some people are just quick to sell us for the next couple of years. Imagine somebody selling the whole people of Southeast for the next 80 years. Like nobody here will be there when this day will expire. Like our kids will have to suffer for this. Our grandchildren are the ones who are going to suffer for this. And before you know it, they will say things like the Enugu state doesn't even have an international airport again. Why? Because they have made some bad decisions that will make that to come into play. Because this is a very bad decision. Imagine, I heard Kalu saying that if they want to cancel this deal in the future, they will have to pay these people the profit they are supposed to make in the next 100 years. Isn't this suicide? This is suicide. It's either the governor and some important people in the position of authority are part of this company that wants to buy, that wants to take over the airport through the back door, because that's the only way you can explain this. Or is it that our governor is so dumb that he doesn't know what these people means? He knows what they are saying. It's either they are part of it or they know those who are trying to take over that very space. And then somebody talked about the Hallelujah boys here praising Pitamba. Those people are being paid to do those things. They are influencers. That's their business. They get paid to post good things about the governor. They will never say any other thing. They only say what they are meant to say. So it's left for us who are not being paid, who are free-minded. It's only few of us that can say our mind. Because as I'm seeing this thing, like, we are really getting messed up, seriously. We complain about the ones that were done years ago, but then currently some people are still trying to do worse. They want to do worse because what is 80 years? A lease for 80 years. That's no longer a lease, because by the time 80 years is gone, like, it will take a lot of digging before you will be like, who actually signed this? Who actually signed this? Because none of us will be here to
I,
even say what really
I
happened.
mean,
So
look at it this weekend. There's a free trade zone there.
you
So
see,
so somebody has bought free trade zone and airport for one not 80,
80 years.
100 years. It's a 100-year
Oh,
deal
oh
because
my
it's
God.
80 years.
Nobody lives for
Uh,
100 years again in this world.
because they're going to
At
sell
age,
it.
glorious
Yeah.
exit.
The guys buying this thing
At
are not going
age,
to run it. They're
glorious
going to
exit.
sell it. That the guys
So
buying this thing are going to sell it. China and
in
US
my
are
own,
fighting. So if you want to set
yeah,
up in Nigeria to do export to America or China, where are you going to come to? They're going to tell you come to Nigeria, have an airport with a free trade zone. Wow. So
You see,
you can
which
have,
which is a big
yeah, you
advantage.
can have a garment production site just Abani there. Do your garments,
Yeah,
drive to the airport, fly the thing out duty free
freely.
to
Yeah.
America or China. So that's what makes me mad. This is a very very good deal. It's a very very good deal. But these guys have turned this thing into nuclear waste by trying to be greedy. 100-year contract that if you don't do what they say, you have to pay them projected returns. Who has ever seen a contract like this in their life? It's like you hire a house girl. Then the house girl tells you if she comes to your house and she cannot cook, she cannot clean, she cannot do anything. When you sack her, you will pay her salary that she should have made in, and she will tell you what that salary will be. Not today, oh, but when you sack her, she will tell you what the salary will be. What if you tell her salary is 1 million a day? That's what you pay her. If you don't pay her, she'll go to your office and say, you are owing me to give me his salary. That's exactly what these people are doing. I've shared again, I have this legit, I've shared their write up, very, very detailed as well. You see it there. 80-year
Okay. So
duration, 20-year follow up. Come on.
we cannot really rely on most of the people we see online to help us publicize this because they are directly or indirectly involved. Because the SSA to the governor on media, I think Dan Woma, he's very active here on Twitter. But since you started saying this, he has not said anything.
That's
This has to tell you that these people, like, they know what is really
God.
happening. They know what is happening. So, in my own opinion, just like some of us here has said, you know we have to go more public about this. Tag whoever needs to be tagged. Everybody can help in his or her own way. You know, try to publicize it. Let it get all the attention it needs. All these things, all it needs is the attention. With the if it gets the attention it needs, I'm sure the governor or whoever is behind is not going to go on and carry on with this economic genocide
Yeah.
against the Igbos because that's the way I see it. It's economic genocide. Just let's destroy these people.
All right.
We can't keep going this way. So that's just my own suggestion.
Well said. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Let me get Sheikh. Sheikh Chukudi. How you doing, Sheikh? Sheikh, are you able to speak? I had someone else, but I think I dropped off.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear
I
me?
can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and hi, Kalu. Nice one that you took this up. So for me, I just feel like the reason, like you mentioned, one, it's the why they chose the South is a very obvious reason. It's going to be your most profitable place because that is where you have the highest people who have more of disposable income available to be able to engage the services. That's where you're likely going to make your fortune in the future, right? And also, like you said, is the likeliest region whereby there is a more Republican culture that it is like everybody owns it and nobody owns it. Whereas the other regions have more like a feudal elitist system whereby you have to deal with a certain cabal to be able to go through with it. But be that as it may, for me, I feel like as against what I'm hearing people saying, oh, let us tag who we're going to tag. I think we've gotten to a level whereby it's no longer about tagging. Is there not a lawyer that we can pay? This is not a free thing. We're not saying come and volunteer. If there is a lawyer who can put a freedom of information request right away today, but tomorrow is a working day, draft it today and by tomorrow, this is going to be a paid service. Let the lawyer come up and let us pay for it and let us get it going. I think at a certain point, we need to stop doing this thing of thinking that somebody else is going to come do it for us, right? It is our generation. It is our time to be able to stand up and take some of these things. Let's start with that first and let us get a document in public light as against thinking, okay, I know like you have some of it in terms of this thing, but it would be nice that, okay, this thing comes out in pure public light whereby everybody can see it. And also like we can now have like also like foreign um consultant, everybody speaking about it. I think that's the way I would say let's go. So that's just my thoughts. I'm just thinking that we should rather, I don't mind if it's something I can foot the bill myself, well, if other people are willing, but I think that's what we should be doing as against saying, oh, tag people and tag what, I
No,
don't
I
know.
mean,
That's my suggestion. Thank you.
just go online, get a lawyer on this, and say file an FOI. They will bill you. You just do it. Send it to me or send it to anybody who will publicize it. I don't think into it.
Yeah, I'm just asking if there's anybody, like anybody within this house, because I know that the FOI has a certain criteria that you need to meet to be able to
I
request
would
it.
just say
So,
if you get any lawyer, they'll do all that legwork for you. Honestly speaking.
okay, sure.
So there are people like Olisa Agbakoba. I wonder where they are. My good auntie, I'm going to try to speak to her. World Bank is obvious secrecy. I'm just wondering why is there no noise about this? It's surprising and it's telling. It's telling that there's no noise about this. It's telling. But we'll see. We'll be very surprised when we find out who is behind this. And it will answer all of the questions that I see. We'll start tagging people publicly. This doesn't bother me. I mean, but how can this be happening? And everybody's just chilling and watching Arsenal beat Chelsea. Come on. Come on. Nedu, you've got the floor, Nedu.
Good morning, Carlo. Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. First of all, shutting down an airport a day to Easter, I mean Enugu Airport a day to Easter, is a no-no. Is a no-no. If there was no agenda, it shouldn't have happened. You can't tell me the federal government will wake up a day to Salah celebration and shut down the Kano International Airport. It will never happen. But what they did in Enugu was on purpose, and they have their reasons for doing it. Beyond that, the Enugu International Airport is the only international airport that is abandoned in Nigeria. Go to Kano, go to Port Harcourt, go to Lagos, go to Abuja, see what is happening there. That airport had been abandoned for more than 10 years. Since Buhari came into power, that airport had been abandoned. What do I mean by it has been abandoned? The international wing of that airport has been abandoned. Nothing has been working there. Now, these guys are now out again talking about concessioning. What is this concessioning they are talking about? Handing over this airport to a private entity, an unknown private entity. And the whole deal is shady. Nobody knows what is happening anywhere. Now, apart from that, they want to do this concessioning for 80 good years. Do you know what this means? That Enugu Airport will be the first airport in the world to be concession for 80 years. No airport in the world has been concession for 80 years. The normal duration they go for is 20 years. If they exceed 20, maybe 30 years. But for 80 years, it has never happened. Why should we be the first? Why are they using us to test run whatever the agenda they have? Why I'm saying this is that we must resist this move. We don't want to hear anything like concessioning our airport for 80 years. I'm not against concessioning, but the deal must be made transparent. We need to see who is involved, what is at stake, and everything. And it shouldn't be more than 20 years. Anything more than 20 years is a no-no, and every one of us must condemn it. This is my stand. Good morning, Carlo.
And that's everyone's stand really. Where we what we want is transparency, and we want to also to get a few answers. Why is Kano 20? Why is Abuja 30? Why is Lagos 20? Enugu is 80. Who are the guys that are doing this? Why are we paying them expected profit over 80 or 100 years? I think those are simple questions I want to just get answers to. Hi, Mr. Jack. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Carlo. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So first off, I think you deserve a lot of credit for bringing this to the fore. I mean, at the first instance when I saw it, I personally did not believe, because again, I have a lot of doubt these days regarding some news. So I take my time to actually see if I can see pieces of information around the same topic, right? So you know, there's really nothing public yet, and it's just the legit news I personally saw, and I'm just happy to hear that you have this information from the labor unions and all of that. So one of the things I know, I'm trying to get details of this particular. I think I want to toe the line of Sheikh. Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do, the first action we need to take very urgently is to actually get the information concerning this concession public. And what do I mean by the information? So first of all, at the first instance, what is this concessionaires bringing to the table? We need to know, because you cannot come and maybe if we are able, I don't know if we have people working in the airport, that are young people that will be able to give us information, because you notice that the international wing of Enugu Airport, Is not in use at the moment. So what are the works that need to be done there? At what, at what extent? What are the works that these guys are expected to do? Because for me, to be very honest, yeah, I hear people say realistically they are looking at maybe 20 years. I don't think that maybe a 20 years concession will maybe be able to take up the work that is required in that place. However, I don't think any concession more than 50 years, for instance, for example, this is my personal opinion, right, is a good deal. So there are a couple of things we can do. Get the information public, we can take actions, we can protest, go to the airport and then take up placards and say, no, we don't want this. These things are, little things we can do as young people and say, no, we don't want this. I don't think this is in the best interest of our people. And I'm really waiting because, the current spokesperson of the aviation ministry happens to be someone I know. And, I've also asked questions, right, from his own side. Is there any reason why the processes around this concession is not public? Because I for one, think that, you know, an important infrastructure like this, the processes that leads to the concession should actually be public in the first instance. They did a similar concession with Onitsha River Port about 3 years ago for 4 billion, right? And that concession, in my opinion, is a failed project. And the same person that concessioned that airport is now the same person parading money up and down that he wants to run for governor in Anambra. So something is wrong somewhere. These are just politicians trying to enrich themselves, right? It has nothing to do with this thing. And I hear that 1% of that concession, the profit made from that place, is going to go to the what's the name? There's this agency, the
ICRC,
commission.
ICRG.
ICRC. And I'm asking on what basis? Like, I need to understand some of these things, right? So it's not clear as to what this concession is about yet. And for me, I'm just trying to let people know that I personally do not think that maybe a 20-year proposal that we're making would be enough, because I know of a similar concession that wanted to happen with with the stadium in Lagos, right? A certain consortium wanted to take it up, for 100 years, and that did not pull through because of course, the greed of the people that are trying to do this. So we can make noise about it, but we need information. That's the point I want to make. So, Sheikh, I think I can work with you behind the scene to get a lawyer. I have a couple of lawyers in Enugu that we can speak to today, and then we get them to get us information on this particular thing and put it in public so we can start from there. Thank you so much, Carlo, for your efforts.
Yeah, please work with Sheikh. If you guys can get that done, that would really be interesting to get the FOI thing at least on file. But let me also address you on the financial side. So look at this way. It doesn't matter if it's 1,000 years or 1 year. It doesn't matter. If they have 1,000 year concession program and it's a normal concession arrangement whereby they have to do their tasks, and if they don't do their tasks, they can be cancelled. Nobody will talk. The issue is that they are saying that if you remove them, you will pay them what they would have made. So in effect, there is no risk. They have no risk. There's a law of in contract. You have to have insurable interest. You have to have an interest in the thing that you are investing in. In this agreement, they have no risk. If they invest their money and they don't perform, you can't sack them, because if you sack them, you pay them their expected return. So let's not also get tripped off on the 80 years and start saying 50, 40, 10. You get to the rabbit hole there. It is the fact that even if you sack them after 1 year, you have to pay them their projected revenues. That's one. That's again. It's an airport with a free trade zone that is servicing the entire southeast, and they can even argue some states in the south, even middle belt. Why is 20 years? What are they? They're fixed. The runway is already there. They have to build a better runway and a better terminal. All the revenues, advertising, baggage, cargo, every revenue, landing, takeoff is going to go to them. You say 20 years not enough to recoup, and then take another 10 or 20 years to have, because they're not going to kick you out after 20 years. It just means that after 20 years, you renegotiate again. If you have a house, do you give your tenants rent for 100 years. No, you give 2 years, 3 years. Even though you want money, you even give 10 years or lease. You say, okay, after 10 years, come back, we'll renegotiate. That's the where this is a bit funny. That you're saying that even if you call the tenant back and you tell the tenant, okay, tenant, sorry, I can't renew your rent because I want my daughter to live in the house. You will now have to go and find a house for the tenant because you've kicked him out of your flat. Then where is his risk? Where is his own risk to do that project? It's a setup, it's set up to fail. And once it fails, like I said, once it fails, they run abroad and sue Nigeria. Remember when they seized Nigeria's private jet abroad? It was not this year, last year they seized. Why they seized the private jet? Because it's same thing. There was a contract in Nigeria that failed and someone hasn't paid, so they seized our jet. Was it in Canada or where they seized those jets? This is the game plan. Yeah, Mambila, Ajalkuta, PNID. You can see this. It's the game. It's the game. So if you allow yourself to fall into that trap, we're going to be in serious soup. So Jack, I appreciate you hooking up with this guy. Please let's get that FY thing. If you guys have information, please send to me or just publish it and tag me. That's just wonderful. Mazi is okay. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Good morning, my brother
Morning to you, sir.
Carlo. Carlo, start off, I will say thank you very much. I owe you a keg of palm wine. Next time we'll see. That's something that I must bring across to you for bringing this information to the public domain. Because you see, there are times you don't judge a book by the cover, but there are times you do. In this case, the book already is written in fraud because for the fact that there is this secrecy and with this termination clause there, it's nothing but a fraud. Ihe a bụ ndị na-asa ego. That's the way people want to basically flex the southeast. Again, the southeast, or rather, the Enugu airport has been plagued with a lot of irregularities. Sadly, that Hadisirika also raped us at that airport without any form of protection. Look at the runway that was fixed during the COVID; is now broken. One has raised that issue even when he was a minister a couple of times. Yet, we are where we are now. One thing I think, being proactive citizens here, one thing I think we all can do, I agree with Sheikh, we'll have to get lawyers. I was even expecting Professor Denkalu here because last night, while I was discussing with someone who is also on this space, I think he mentioned that he was going to send this space to him, that he was going to be here. But, I think Jack, Sheikh, a couple of us who are interested. So I think there is need for us to do a back channel conversation and begin to also look at people we can get now. Maybe, I don't know, Carl, you may guide us on this. If, when you talk about the freedom of information, do we need the information that you have or just for them to request and the information will be made available? And we may get to a point, assuming that this is, the FOI is gotten, that this information we put out there, whoever needs to be shamed must be shamed. And, secondly, listen, concession 20 years, 15, even 30, 80 years, even if they born you today, even if you're a child that is still in the words of Odumeje, in the sukrutum, even if it comes out today, 80 years, that child might not even, by the time the payment is, or the agreement is finished, the child is already probably rotting beneath the earth, meaning that none of us here alive would see the end of such madness. It is purely defined as madness. There is something definitely not right here. My brother, there is something definitely not right. So we can do that. Secondly, if need be, that we will say we no go agree, we no go agree. If it means, and it gets to the point as said by Jack, that there ought to know that protests should be organized, then of course. But that brings me to, before I round up, my brother, that brings me to the final question. I wasn't too clear in all the presentation and the questions and the speakers here. What is the role, do you think, of the Enugu state governor? Because now the whole thing is getting slightly. I think others might be in the same frame of mind too. What is the role of the Enugu state government here? A state that just launched an airline. What is their role here? And and finally, that's a question I'm posing to you. Finally, I did send you an inbox the other time. I wanted to have you on my show, and now it's become more eminent that that conversation has to happen. Thank you very much, Carl. Please, what is the role of Enugu government here? If you may answer that for us,
Yeah, I
please.
mean, Enugu is a host state, right? It's a federal asset in a state. So the immediate benefits of Enugu International Airport flow first to Enugu State before it gets to Nigeria. The same way Lagos State, Ikeja gets the benefits before it gets to Lagos State and to Nigeria. So they should be very, very concerned what is the identity of that entity? Does that entity have an office in Enugu? Is that entity who are they going to hire? Who are they? What's the antecedent? Because if that place folds up, right now it's functional. But if it folds up and cannot be restarted, aka Mambila or Jakuta, who suffers first? It's Enugu State, not the federal government. It's them because the taxi drivers, the revenues they bring from that place is going to go off. So they should basically they're an interested party in what we're talking about. I should have expected them to be all over this. They should be the one going to
Exactly.
Supreme Court to say, listen, we believe that if this is a 100-year concession, it's against the state's power because the state. Okay, let me even go. If you go to Lagos State, the secretariat in Lagos State till today is abandoned. The federal secretariat. It was a federal secretariat that was sold to an individual in Lagos State. He wasn't allowed to take that secretariat up till today is abandoned. What about sold since when? 1999 or when Lagos State left, when the federal government left Lagos State, that is still abandoned till today. The federal secretary in Lagos got these issues of state, federal, and concession. So if you make a false move and that airport becomes abandoned, it's going to be Enugu's guys going to bear the brunt. So they should be the ones that should be upfront and saying, "Don't worry, we got this. We got this. This is what we've heard, and we're satisfied." You can't say because it's a federal asset, you just sell it to anybody. Maybe it's one girl in Canada they're selling it to that knows nothing about aviation. I'm just giving an example. Would you then keep quiet and say because a federal asset it can be sold to just anybody? No, you have a state plan. You have to ask them, can we talk so we liaise and we connect the state and the federal plan for aviation and for transportation, and also with the Southeast plan for aviation for development? That is a strategic asset for the Southeast, the southern Nigeria, and Nigeria as a whole. It's the only airport in Nigeria that has a free trade zone attached to it. Again, we'll come back to this trade issue. Anybody you
So,
go and market is going to fall for this. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Karen, thank you for that. Now, what it means is, if Enugu State government is disinterested in this matter, it means one thing and one thing only, that by the time we might begin to dig deeper in
We
this,
don't know that.
we might, I mean, I'm just saying now, because at the end of the day, at this point, apart from what you have been doing, nothing is out there. So there are people here, there are people who are also listening anonymously who have legs and access to the Enugu State government. Everybody, please, we have to deploy every arsenal possible to get to the root of this. But if by any chance they become disinterested in this and helping us to fight and get to the bottom of this, it means, I mean, you can use your teeth, your tongue to count your teeth. Thank you very much, my brother Ayud. Please attend to my DM. Thank
Yeah,
you.
like I said earlier, Enugu has an opportunity to take over this airport and run it. My best approach is the SADC, the Southeast Development Commission, should take over the airport, 100 or 1,000 year lease, sell the shares in the airport to local and state governments on a warehouse basis, raise the seed funding from the FARC allocation that they get, attract an international manager of airports, and rebuild the airport. Once it is rebuilt or that process wants to start, do a public offer, IPO, offer for subscription, sell shares to every Nigerian and foreigner that wants to buy into the Enugu airport. If you do it that way, you are going to involve everyone folks abroad, folks in Nigeria from every region will then invest in that airport. It then becomes listed in Onitsha Stock Exchange, Lagos Stock Exchange, in the London Stock Exchange. It's a very, very non-correlated asset. People would buy it. It's an airport. We travel, build a cargo thing there. People are coming home for Christmas. You make a lot of money. There's free trade zone there. You build a modern day garments industry nearby. So you export goods all the way to the US and the UK. I already see what's the possibilities. And that's how we should approach this, a win-win for everyone, where everybody is investing and everybody's getting a return. If you make this become a small pond, where only a few clowns are just going to own these shares, a small pond, what happens to small ponds? They die once the sun comes out. It's got to be a river of prosperity for everyone in that region, not one tiny pond with a tiny politician trying to make 100% on one. Doesn't make any sense. But we'll see what's going to come up with. Uplifted, you've got the floor, sir. Thank you, Mazi. Thank you, Jack, and everyone. Uplifted, go ahead.
Uh, can you hear me,
I can
Carlo?
hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Um, this is so sad. This is so sad. First of all, I'll have to say thank you, Carlo, for all you do. I do follow most of your tweets, and he's enlightening. Um, First off, I feel like this democracy we practice, as in, it seems like it's a cause to us. It seems like it's a cause. It seems like what we practice is more of an authoritarian government, where people can just get up and do whatever they like without minding how it affects the people and what to bring about later in the future. And speaking about Enugu state government, I feel like there is no way they would not be aware of what is happening. There is no way. Because if they are not aware or if they don't support what is happening, you would have seen them protesting or trying to log ahead to the federal government about it. It will be all out there. People will see it. It shouldn't be hidden. Because it's similar to something that something I heard about last year as well. I think last year or last 2 years, where a contract was, I think it's something about a contract with the Enugu state government that the company was not known, the company was not properly registered, and they are coming in to bid for a contract, and it wasn't even publicly public bid that other people could come in and bid. It's something similar to this. So that's why I feel like Enugu state government, they are aware about this. If they are even if they are not the ones partnering with the KMO to do this, and coming to solution, I feel like what should be done, in my own opinion, is reaching out to some of these our leaders in the Senate that are vocal, like Abaribe and Ume, and even the other guy that was in aviation, Chidoka, to see if they could lend their voice. I know if they could speak up and something will be done about this. That's all I have to just contribute. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Jack, I see your hand is up. I think, yeah, like you said, the first thing is just to get in the right information. That FOI thing is very, very important. I don't know how fast FOIs come out. But again, this is the whole idea of the space. Many people just heard about it and are now catching up. Now that you've caught up, tell the next person so that he tells his uncle or his auntie who is a big man. Abi, that's why we're doing this. I want to give you the information so that when you are talking, you have the right information. I've given you guys the information. If you go on my Twitter page, just from Saturday to today, you see I've posted the actual text from the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission on how they value and concession airports, what needs to be in place. And you ask those questions, does this Aero Alliance have it? I've also given you the minefields are in the contract. The expected profits in minefield is right there. Why is it 8 years? The minefield is right there, and all that also. So you when you're now equipped with information, if you now go talk to that your quote unquote uncle or auntie, you can say these are the issues. We're not against concessioning. We want the FDI, we want the investment. But you can't say because you want to eat, you burn yourself. It doesn't work that way. Jack, is your hand up? You do have something to add?
Yes, yes. I wanted to make a quick comment. First off, I wanted to ask because I saw the tweet around Southeast Development Commission, being your preferred entity to actually take up this. First off, I want to know if like you looked at the acts that established Southeast Development Commission, do they really have powers to do that? Because I'm looking at it, first off, is an interventionist agency of federal government as well, right? But away from that is the fact that where are they going to muster the funding that is required to actually fix the airport? Because from what I know, they have a 140 billion budget this year, both capital and you know um, all the expenses. So I'm looking at if that is possible, like if you have looked at their act and then you think this is possible, why I'm proposing a conversation with the MD. I mean, he's my friend. I can put us on a call and then we discuss that, right? That's back channel, right? If you don't mind, but that's number one. Then number two, again, on another thought, I'm thinking, is it possible that this Aero Alliance is an SPV? And maybe with Enugu state government being part of it, is it possible? So I'm looking at the possibilities. Does anybody have information around this Aero Alliance guys? Who are there?
But
Because I noticed that in the last 1 year, Enugu state government has set up a couple of SPVs for most of the things that they've done, and I'm aware that the governor is actually involved in this concession thing. So if there's something that we need to ask the government of Enugu State serious question, because they cannot claim that they are not aware of what is happening there. It's not possible, in my own opinion. I yield the mic.
yeah, but Jack, the two questions. If they are involved, then just say it. But our issue is not who they are, but what they are doing. Like I said, I saw a Suya company got a contract to build something in Abuja a long time ago. I'm interested in what they want to do. Like I said, if it is a brand new company that have got good managers, good technical advisors, that's fine. If Enugu State is involved in this, is Enugu State saying that they should give the airport to Enugu State or to an individual in Enugu State? Who is the 80 years? Who is the airport be given to? We need to see the actual contract papers. It's a public asset, and we are the taxpayers. So we need to see it so we can review it. That's not the first thing. It shouldn't be hidden. That it is hidden is the biggest red flag in this whole arrangement. That agreement is hidden. If it was not hidden, you would see it. And if they are hiding it, that tells you something going on with it. That's number one. Let's go to SEDC. If you read what I said about SEDC, SEDC is just a quote unquote SPV. All this airport needs is you go to the federal government and you say, the SEDC, the Southeast Development Commission, is going to buy the airport. The IRC has said 30 billion. Okay, how would they buy it? You warehouse this airport. There are 95 local governments, there are 5 states. No local government gets less than 150 million naira a month. So you give a bill, offer for subscription, and you call shares. Each local government in Nigeria in the southeast, $100,000 times 95 is $9.5 million. You've already gotten your money right there. Each state, $2 million. This is just off the bat, $2 million per state. If you add those two together, and you are putting $20 million. The federal government will give you a certain latitude because this is now a state or this is now an SPV that has to develop the region. It's no longer a commercial entity. It's now a social impact, right? When you get that seed funding, you can then go and pay to the as a seed funding to the IRC and say, we have the seed funding, we're going to look for an international reputable technical partner. You go abroad, Mr. Ogulese's company is still there. He's a Nigerian, right? He's a US Nigerian. You bring them back to Enugu as the technical partnership, right? To give you that advice on how to run the airport. At that point, you can then go public and issue shares in whatever entity has been created to own the airport. The SEDC is just a holding company to warehouse shares because not every local government is going to pay immediately. Some will say we're going to pay you in 5 years. Some will say we're going to pay you instrumentally, but they're going to warehouse the shares. The same way the Ministry of Finances owns the NNPC is the same way the SEDC will own the airport. You then sell equity. It is the sale of the equity that really brings and activates cash. to the SPV that would own, repair, renovate, and operate the airport. Is that IPO? But the IPO needs to sit on this on an entity, and that entity is going to be what the SEDC is going to create. The SPV or company is going to create, warehouse, and then own and transfer to the individual shareholders. This is not rocket science, so this is how it is done. You have to have that process done. This is how it is done globally. If you do it this way, you attract more people. China might even come and say they're interested in buying into this airport because they will see that, if we get this airport, free trade zone, you see where I'm going to with this? But if you make it small, maybe China's already come. So the guy has already wants to go to buy this airport and sell to China. I even thought of that, that it might be a foreign guy that is trying to buy this airport for himself and then sell to China. So we have to see the documents. I'm not against this, but you have to remove certain things in that document that are inimical to Nigeria's this is national security. How can you sign a contract that says that you're going to create a contingent liability for 80 or 100 years on Nigeria? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, Jack, I hope I've answered your question. And again, I'm available if you want to talk. DM. This is what I've done all my life. I'm semi-retired. This is what I do. I know how to do this. So if you want to talk to anybody, I will come there and I'll give you step by step how to do it. It's not rocket science to get this done. So Jack, thank you. Aquilia. Yes. Aquilia. Is that did I get that name right? Aquilia? Guys, we have to go. I don't want to keep you guys up to so let's just break in about next. Let's do Aquilia. Let's do Trudy, Hillary. Then we'll just call it a day, right? Good.
Morning. Just a quick one. I just wanted to find out if we are pressing for answers. I just need us to harmonize what exactly all of us will be requesting at once. What exactly should we be requesting at once? For example, we want to trade a hashtag, or for example, we have a one-on-one with the government. What should we be requesting? I just want us to harmonize it so that it will be clear for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, if I actually replied. I did a tweet. I'll share it again on my questions for this airport. I said number one, who are the concessionaires? Who are they? That's number one. And then number two, I simply went back to the ICRC's own requirement, not my requirements. What the ICRC requires for anyone that wants to be a concessionaire to an airport. Number one, financial. Number two, technical. That's what they're asking for. You have to have 30 billion. They want you to have 30 billion. You have to have capacity to run this. So what you are asking for is number one, who are they? Who are they? Number two, do they qualify according to the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission? That's number two. Number three, why 80 years? Why 80 years or even 100 years? Why that? Number four, why this clause that they would pay them, that Nigeria would pay them projected return? So let me say it again. Number one, who are they? Number two, do they qualify under the ICRC's own definition and requirements to run and operate an international airport? That's number two. Number three, this issue of 80 years. Why 80 years? And number four, why are we going to pay them projected returns? These are four simple questions. They're not controversial in any way. They put them out there. They should defend them. If they answer these questions perfectly and tell us the reason why it is 80 years and why there's projected returns, we will turn and become supporters of this project. But this looks like someone just wants to steal us in the night dark and run away with it. So I hope I've answered your question there. Trudy, you had a follow-up, Trudy?
Yeah, Carlo, just to add to what you've said, and one of the questions, what we are talking about here is that it is a public asset. The airport is a public asset,
That is
and
true.
it's set to be concessioned under PPP.
Yes, that is true.
So what's the public bid into it? Why is everything shrouded in secrecy? So it's just an extension to the question. So everything is fundamental about this. It's fundamentally wrong. So If it's concession under PPP, who are these people? Why is it shrouded in secrecy? It ought to be open. We need to know, even if it's an SPV, for God's sakes. It is a public asset. Every other Nigerian, including the people from the region, should know about this thing. It should have been public, from the word go.
I agree.
Thank you. Just an extension to one of the questions. And people go to Carlo's page. He's done the questions. He's done a lot of posting about this. He's also shared Ruth's article. So please, can we just share it as much as we can so it gets to many people as possible? Thank you.
I appreciate that, sir. So we're going to wind it down now. Let's get Hillary and Austin.
Apologies, Carlo.
Okay, so
Afia TV is trying to reach out to you if you can come on board because they are reaching out now. So I want to know if you are available this week to appear on Afia TV to talk about this very issue.
We'll see. I'll DM them. Yeah, no worries. Let's do DM. Yeah. Let's get Hillary. Yeah.
Thanks. Good.
okay, so I think the first thing to do is to get the government to make the concession agreements public.
True.
I mean, that will solve a lot of problems. I'm not sure why it's private. As a journalist myself, I'll try to see how I can get access to it. But I also want to point out that the Enugu state government is well aware of what's happening. Someone mentioned Afia TV right now. The Enugu state transportation commissioner was on Afia TV recently, where he said that the concession process was 70% complete and will be completed before the end of this quarter. So the government is aware of it. So if whoever wants to try any hashtag or anything needs to engage the Enugu state government and also the senators and House of Reps members from the
Is the
region.
is the Hil-
So that's
Hillary?
my
Sorry to
contribution.
interject.
Finally,
Hillary, so
yes.
is the Enugu State government okay with what they've read? Do you know? Is that what he's saying?
Uh, I'm not sure whether they're okay. I'm yet to go through everything the Transportation Commission has said, but I know that he said that the agreements will be completed this quarter, before the end of this quarter. That's already 70% complete.
Okay.
And by the way, sorry, Carl, if you can take a look at your DM, I DM'd you last night about something today on the show, on a radio show that I present. If you can take a look,
All right.
I'll appreciate that.
I will do so. Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Let's do Austin then Shuka. We're just going to round down, guys. Austin, go ahead, sir. Austin, okay. Austin. All right. Let's get to
Yeah, can you hear me?
yes. Yeah.
Hello,
Yes, I
hello.
can.
Okay, good. My thing is, I am itching for an urgent application in court, asking for an interdict, pending when some clarity has been made on these
Yeah.
questions. One, that would be why the secrecy. The airport is a public asset. Consultation is necessary. Public consultation is necessary. We then should be asking for the concession agreement to be made public for us to study. I think we should constitute ourselves as a class action party. I see Enugu State as a party to be cited as a respondent party. And I want to know if you have the identity of other parties, respondent parties.
No, there's no
Um, I, I
Austin. There's no party. That's the whole idea of the space. That no one knows anything. Literally, let me tell you. Literally, if
okay,
the unions had not protested, this would have been signed, done, and delivered without anyone even seeing or being aware. Enugu State is not a party.
okay,
They don't have any shares. It is the federal government through the Minister of Aviation that's the only party for now.
okay. Then,
Hello.
thank you. We will then have to then cite the Minister for Aviation, Keyamo, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the name that is made public. I think it's called Aviation One something. I don't know what that name you posted. We have to cite them wherever they are. In any case, we have cited them.
Aero Alliance. It's
Thank you.
called Aero Alliance. Yeah, that's the thing they have.
Yes,
All right.
yes. That's my
Like I
point.
said, that's the first thing. Let's get the information, what they are going to sign. Let the government put it out there. Let's read it. It might actually be good. What if they come out and it's not 80s, 20 years, and we've been doing fake news? Oh, fantastic! Let's see the actual what they want to sign. Maybe it was a typo error, and instead of 20, someone puts 80. Then we'll all go to bed. But 80, I'm
Okay,
paying expected fees. That's a non-starter. All right, perfect.
okay, but you raised some very questions, very good questions that must be answered. If they go into that agreement, if they execute that agreement, it might just turn out to be something else.
I am
Who are these
Austin.
parties?
I am telling
Who are
you, I am
they?
telling you that based on how
Uh,
I've read this and my knowledge of
uh,
finance, This is an agreement that is written on purpose to fail. It's what they call an intentionally defective document. It is written because they are telling them that if you don't build a runway and a terminal, that's the only thing that we can sack you. What if the airport is dirty? Every day it's dirty, it's smelly, people are complaining, and then you fire them. You are owing them money. Clean the airport.
then we should strike now. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
that's what we're
about
doing
before
now.
they
That's
finalize the
what we're doing.
agreement.
That's what we're doing. I mean, we're getting it.
Okay,
We this
okay,
is a 1 day thing. We're working as fast. We're getting trying to get the FOI. So you can be here. Jack and the other guy has spoken about getting lawyers involved. Let's file an FOIs.
okay,
Get the information out there so we can look at it. Once we can look at the original documents, we'll do a further review and then we can know exactly who is playing games because we need to know who is this Aero Alliance? Who are they? And have they met the ICRC's own requirements? If they haven't, then it's illegal. If they haven't met those conditions, then signing this airport what to them is illegal. And if it's illegal, they cannot claim equity because they've come with dirty hands. That's just where I'm going to with this. Okay,
okay. Would you then bring these parties here to a platform, WhatsApp platform, so that we know how to
we
support?
don't need to. We don't need to. Like Austin, I don't know if you're Austin, I don't know if you're with those, no one, they would have signed this thing, Austin. They would have signed this thing last week. They were copy of a strike. The unions, that's what they're
Okay,
doing. So these guys are operating
I
on
want
different frequency. If they're not going to be
I want a takeaway after this meeting. What am I going home with? That an urgent application is imminent,
Austin,
and
if there's a guy there called Jack, you see Jack on the screen. There's also a guy there called Sheriff. They want to go and speak to lawyers. If you can DM that, they see Jack and Sheriff is down. Shake, not Sheriff. Shake. You see with a hat. They want to do an FOI with a lawyer. So if you can liaise with them, let's get the FOI done. If
okay,
that is not cannot be done as quick as possible on your own, what is your own task now? To reach out to your
okay,
own decision maker that you know and say, what the hell is going on? How can we sign away a federal asset for 100 years with a condition that says that if we cancel them, we have to pay them expected revenues? That's your own task now. Reach out. Listen, it's in the Bible. The judge didn't want to do what the woman said, but because the woman was persistent, the judge did it. It's in the Bible.
okay,
So if you
okay.
yeah,
I'll drop my contact details. I'll DM my contact details to you and Jack, so that we'll take
all
it
right,
from there.
perfect. All right, guys, we're just trying to run so we can let's get Chuka real, and then let's. I mean, we've got. I think we've gotten information out. I'm happy the information is out now to you guys, and there's a bit of traction.
Carlo, apologies again. Carlo, apologies again. Jack is trying to reach out to you. He's asking if
All
he
right,
can.
we'll do. Yeah, so who's get the Chuka and the real. Yeah, Chuka, go for it.
Good morning, Carlo. Thank you for actually taking up this initiative. Well, Ndibo, not Ndibo, I think that this is actually showing the essence of having organized leadership that is from the people, not just people in government, to be able to take up this kind of responsibility and push. Because it's obvious that this is a secret arrangement, right? And when there's something like this going on, the first thing to do is to take it out there. And that's what you've done. Bring it out there. But I think it needs to go beyond where it is now. Everything is going on Twitter and boiling. And I like the way you're asking the right questions. I like the way you're bringing out the information. I don't know how we can do this, but I believe that there are people here who are good at that. But before I say what I want to say, I think we can also start addressing our representatives in the National Assembly. So if everybody here and the rest of us, Bundibo, start writing our representatives and demanding explanations, demanding that they speak out in the House about this case. Do you think it can make a difference? That's one. And then secondly, we can actually take this beyond Twitter, have an organized video. It can even be an audio that has graphics, whatever, where you are analyzing what is going. The same way you're doing it now, but maybe you have it scripted or something, and you just take your time and explain how this works, what is going on, the implications of how of it going the way it's going now, what it means for Southeast, all the implications, the consequences that will come if nothing is done about it, the possibilities. Let people understand more, because there are a lot of people who don't know what is going on now. Some will hear it, oh, I hear that they want to concession. They don't understand the details about it, how it works. But if people know better, if people really, really, really know better about how this works and what it means for them, to our economy as Indi Igbo, and also to the politics in Indi Igbo generally, then people will take more responsibility regarding this. So if you will be willing to do that, I can actually support. I can be part of making a production or something. Just and it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be too sophisticated. Just a video or something, or audio recording that will have some graphics around it.
I mean,
So we can spread it on other platforms, TikTok, everywhere. Let it
there's a
just be
guy
all
who,
over the place.
yeah, David Arisa is going to do that with me. I'm available. Like, let me just say, I'm available. If you have a platform, you want me to come and do a 5 minute recording, I will come and do a 5 minute recording in very simple language, state what the issue is and why we are doing this. I'm available. I don't know if my Igbo is that
Great.
eloquent, but reach out to me. I literally, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record an audio now for a minute, 1 minute audio, and explain what the issue is. So people can have it and I'll give it. So if anyone can translate it to Igbo or whatever, fine, but yeah, I hear where you're coming, what you're saying, yeah.
What do you say about the other side of
I
people
don't,
writing the National
honestly speaking,
Assembly?
this is not America. Honestly speaking, I don't want to be a downer, but it doesn't work in Nigeria to write all those things. See, what needs to happen is this, right? If imagine you are on the other side, you are the guy behind this airport. The only thing you care about really is not even the Nigerians making noise, is that this noise would affect your ability to go to a bank, to raise the debt, to buy this airport, or to get an international partner. So especially the folks that have followership or are abroad, the more noise you make, your noise per quotient is higher than the noise per quotient in Nigeria, because that's what they fear, that this thing becomes tainted and they cannot raise capital or partners. Who wants to partner with someone that is looking nasty or looking toxic? No,
Controversial,
yeah,
yes.
nobody wants to, and that's what they are fear. That's why they hide it. They hide it because they want to get it all signed, get it all passed, and then start to do. They don't have this money. How Nigerians work, that they will sign it first, then they'll go and get the money. So when this noise you are making, you are affecting their ability, you are affecting their balance sheet to wait to go back and raise money. Because people say this is a shady thing. If it's not shady, why is it not out in the open? When we did, imagine if GSM licensing, we just woke up and we said, oh, we've issued GSM licenses to MTN and Econet. People be like, what? And that's what they're trying to do here. How long did GSM? What if they gave Econet 100-year monopoly in Nigeria? Econet, and we didn't know how much they paid. People would have said bloody murder. So the point is, if you are talking to people, you want them to talk. There are opinion leaders that would hold them to account. Now, this thing is not going to really stand. If you can, there is no banks board that would look at this and give money away if it's not political. You can't take this deal to a bank's board and say, I have a deal. The people are against this deal. It's 100-year, blah, blah, blah. The bank will give you money. They only give you money if people are not interested. That's why they're in the Southeast. And it's shaming to say this, but that's why they're in the Southeast. Any other place you take this deal to will be torpedoed. Not just torpedoed. People go to your house, call you out, and do things to you. Traditionally, things to you. Can you imagine going to Kano and say you want to buy Kano Airport for 100 years? Just think of it. You go to Kano and tell that this airport in Kano, Malamamino Kano International Airport, you and your family want to buy it for 100 years. Just think about what they'll do to you in Kano. But here, people are just people don't care. And make them buy it. No, and that's why they are here. That's why they are here. So it's shameless to say, but that's just the truth. And I'm ready to work with anyone. If you want to say anything, hey, I'll
All
work
right,
with you. Yeah.
Mazi is here actually. Mazi Ezoke is actually into this, so I'm sure
All right.
he'll be able to work out something with you. I'll pitch in also, see how I can do that.
All right. Fantastic. So let's get shaken. No, let's this gentleman, the real Murphy. Real Murphy, I apologize. After you I'll come back to shake and then we'll cut today. Real Murphy, are you ready to speak, sir? All right, Real Murphy. Sorry about that. I think I left you over there. Shake, take us home, Shake. We're gonna call today. Shake, go ahead.
Okay, hi. I just want to confirm, because I've been trying to search around for this Aero Alliance consortium, right? And nothing is coming up anywhere. So I'm
I
just wondering.
searched, nothing is happening. I've already done that, sir. No, I've
Yeah,
shared it, nothing's coming up. No.
so I'm just trying. Well, I just wanted to be sure that I got it right. This is Aero Alliance consortium, right?
Yes. I checked with limited. I checked with
Yeah.
limited. I checked everywhere. You won't find anything like that in Nigeria. Again, it could be an SPV, and the
It's an
Air Nigeria.
SPV, obviously.
Okay, but
It's an SPV.
if it's an SPV, what I'm pointing out is that it could be this they are doing business name. Like it would be five banks will come together under five banks, but it is maybe first bank underneath the five banks. Even at that, the SVP still has to be registered. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a special purpose vehicle. It can be memoranda, it can be a limited liability company, it can be a trust. It still needs to be
Yeah.
registered. And according to the ICRC requirement, it has to be registered in CAC. It's not what you choose. ICRC has said how you have to be registered. It's not just anyhow.
Yeah, which I think because basically what that points us to is the fact that this is likely going to fall flat on its face, because basically the only thing you tell about Aero Alliance, they are not particularly because I removed the consortium and I saw a few companies that with Aero Alliance, they are not particular sport managers. They are mostly into more of the parts and things like that for aerodynamics and all of that.
No,
And if
I don't think that's them. Oh. I saw that company I'm talking about. That's a different company
yeah, that's
entirely
what.
in the US. I don't think it's them.
Yeah, so what I'm just pointing out to is that because if we go by the ICRC terminologies, right, these people are supposed to have proven evidence that they are capable and they have the expertise in this terrain, right, before they can be considered. It shouldn't just be a company that is being registered last week.
Understood. Yeah. And remember when one company wanted to buy Nitel, was it not NITT wanted to buy Nitel? Even Pentascope. We've had the Pentascope issue where you go and register one company in the UK, it will be in a restaurant, and you want to go and buy a multi-billion naira
Yeah,
Nigerian asset. We've done it before and it has failed. My fear, the biggest fear I have is that we're going to sign this and we have this liability over our head. And these guys will not do a good job. And just imagine, look at when Hong Kong was taken over by the British, it was stolen from the Chinese for 300 years. They believed that the Chinese would never, ever in their history become powerful. So they signed this thing for 300 years because back then, Britain was the Great Britain. And China was a heroin addicted wasteland. So 200 years was just to even yab them. We're going to take over Hong Kong for 300 years. But what happened? By 300 than the UK. The UK tried to sign a new agreement, telling them to go F themselves. So we are signing a 100-year agreement for an airport. What if in the next 5, 10 years, Nigeria just enters this growth path? And now starts to grow as fast, 20% a year, 10% a year. We now become like Turkey. We now become like Denmark. We now become even like no. The economy now really grows, and you have signed a 100-year deal with someone.
needed to
Even
be.
if even if the person does that agreement properly, then you then tell, wow, listen, this is not going to stand. We need to rejig this airport. We need to build a new Dubai at that airport. We need to expand. The guy says, no, 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 my vision is to be green. Then you can't touch him because
Yeah,
you signed a contract 25 years ago. Maybe his child will be the one running the airport today. You see, I'm saying that don't look at it as it's all bad, bad, bad. It could even be good. Where this guy does a good job and Nigeria does a good job, and we want to go in a different direction, and this guy says, no, I have 75 years left on my contract. You just don't sign those kind of long contracts. That's not what Chelsea is doing and is in trouble, buying players for 20 years or whatever. You just don't sign away long-term deals this way. It's not done it this way. 20 years is a very, very short time for infrastructure. 30 years is a very, very short time for infrastructure. But when you start to go 80 years, you are taking the piss. It's more than infrastructure, it's more like capture. It's a
Exactly.
sale. Because you can't sell the airport because the federal, so you say 80, it's not 80, it's 100 years, guys. It's 100 years, it's 80 plus 20. So when you say 100 year, who would remember that it's 100 year? Is Nigeria 50 years? How old is Nigeria? How old is Nigeria? Then you're signing a 100-year contract. Our longest dated bond. How old is the longest dated bond? Do you have any 50-year bond? So it's crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. So we're not trying to be negative, but even if we are positive, it's still a bad deal at 100 years. Still a bad deal. Let's call it a day, guys. It was going to be a very short space. We've been here for close to 2 hours. I didn't know. So my objective was to get the information out there. So you guys that are bigger and have more, more links and all that, you guys can actually take this and go. I've really my whole weekend has been just shut down doing this. Literally my whole weekend. I do run a space as well. So and again, I'm just going to continue. Lots of folks, I can't don't get too many DMs doing this. Most of the stuff people are asking me is already out there. Whatever I have on my phone, I cannot share because people send it to me on a private, but it's already out there. That's why I shared the legit article. So just do your own research and ask your own questions. And if you need me to clarify, explain, I will do so. But full court press. I'm I'm not doing this because I'm from the southeast. The same way, if you go back and read Ajaokuta, if you know me, you know I'm Mr. Ajaokuta. I've done videos, podcasts, articles on Ajaokuta, literally lots of them on this same issue that Enugu wants to walk into on Ajaokuta. I've also done the same with Mambila. If you look at my podcast, you see the Mambila. I've written the articles, we did the podcast, I did the audio on Mambila. It's on my podcast there. So I'm not doing this because it's from Enugu. It's the same DNA, it's the same MO. You go to Africa, you give them a contract, they sign a contract, they fail, you sue them, you seize their assets. This is a proven way. Remember, guys, the PID contract was bought by a hedge fund. These guys will sell this court case to a hedge fund, cash out. That hedge fund will go to New York and sue Nigeria because we've signed. We know this. So why are we getting into this issue when we know is that we dodged P&ID? Mambila is still up in the air. For Ajaokuta, we had to pay $450 million dollars to someone that didn't do a job he was brought in to do. We had to pay him to allow the court case die. And what is happening now? If we had taken that money and invested in Ajaokuta, we would have gotten farther than that. But we took the money to pay a lawsuit. And we are doing the exact same thing today with this Enugu thing. The exact same thing. It's right there. That's why I'm doing this. So we need to understand the critical issue and force the government to do the right thing. The government works for us. The government is not there to take assets and cloak it in opaque language and sell to themselves. They're not allowed to do that. We won't let them do that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for
So
listening. Yeah.
what do we go with now, please?
So, Austin, Austin, you've asked me this question 3 times. If you go to my Twitter page, I've given you the actual core text of what you need.
Okay,
If you want to go on, you go to my Twitter page, you see the ICRC text is there. I've
okay,
told
all
you,
right,
take this
okay,
stuff. If you cannot do the
uh,
FOI
okay,
bill, go and talk to your own quote unquote big man and say these are the issues, or these are the these are the fears that these people have raised. Don't you think they are valid? We can't allow this to stand the way it's structured. It can't stand. That's the take home, sir. I apologize if but that's the take home. All right, folks, we gotta go. It's past my bedtime here. I need my beauty sleep. Yeah. All right, I'll see you guys. Hopefully, we can get a better or good resolution to this matter. It's a simple thing. pull up the contract, remove all these nonsense clauses, reduce the terms, tell us who they are, do an interview, pass it. We'll be your supporters. But the way it's written right now, this is slavery. This is toxic nuclear waste dump on Enugu, and it won't stand. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Have a good day and bye.
La 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 la.